Hello, Boardwalkers, and welcome to Country Boardwalk Studios. Today I thought we'd plan out and put in the colors of my new Meeden covered ceramic 33 wells palette that my husband had given me. I've got the colors planned out how I would like to do it. I've got it set up for a split primary with 2 yellows, a warm and cool, 2 reds, a warm and cool, and 2 blues, also warm and cool. And then I was thinking of going around with a color wheel with the rest of my other convenient colors and neutral colors that I use the most. This palette is going to be mostly MaimeriBlu Watercolors, which is an Italian brand. And I am going to have some Winsor & Newton professional colors. And Winsor & Newton is the England brand. And then I've got Daniel Smith, a few tubes, which is an American brand. They're all going to be professional grade colors, like I said, except for these 6 over here, which are my Winsor & Newton Cadmium metallic colors. And those are iridescent blue, yellow gold, bronze, red copper, silver, and pewter. And in my Painter's Color Travel Diary, the 6x8 100% cotton watercolor paper, we had done a swatching already of those metallic colors earlier in another video with the Winsor & Newton Cadmium 40 color palette. Here it is. The Winsor & Newton Cadmium watercolor metallic colors. I didn't have the iridescent white or the iridescent black, but I do have the iridescent blue, the yellow gold, the bronze, the red copper, the silver, and the pewter. But today I thought we'd fill out this palette with my MaimeriBlu, my Winsor & Newton, and my Daniel Smith professional colors for my own personal color palette, ultimate color palette. I've got the colors pretty much laid out the way I want to do them. But it's just a matter of us actually putting the paint into the palette and then doing a swatching session in the diary. But first, if you're new to my channel, I'm CB Mac, and on this channel you'll find tutorials about plein air painting with watercolors, gouache, ink, graphite, charcoal, and colored pencils. I also like to do an occasional art supply review. If you're enjoying this video, could I ask you to please subscribe to my channel? Tap that thumbs up like button, share this video, tap that bell icon to receive notifications for upcoming videos, as it does make a huge difference in the growth and the support of my art channel. And to the 45 45 or 46 of you subscribers. I do appreciate each and every one of you very much. So let me move my primaries out of the way first. And some of these other tubes. And we'll get started filling up the tube, the paint into the little wells. Now I've got these super big 6 wells, remember, that I shared with you on that last one. So I'm going to be putting in the colors of the paint. And I said I wanted to try to put in about a tube of my paint, because this is going to be my professional grade palette. And I was going to leave half the tube, half the paint in the tube so that I could use it fresh. So that's an awful lot of paint right there. Now, most of these paints are going to be transparent. I've got a few semi-transparent and a few semi-opaque and a few opaque colors. I've also got a couple of colors in my selection that are also granulating colors. Now I'm just squeezing this out. I'm going to take a little pin here in a minute and stir up each one of these little wells of paint. To make sure there are no air bubbles in them. And when we get to the swatching section, that's when I will tell you which colors they are, and specifically whether they're transparent, opaque, or semi-transparent or semi-opaque and granulating. Now, all of these paints that I've chosen, regardless of brand, except for the metallic watercolors, have a light fastness of excellent or 3 stars. Which means they are not going to fade. They're going to stick around for at least 100 years. So, that is an awful lot of paint. I cannot believe how much paint that holds. That does hold half a tube of my paint. All right. I've got my cool yellow, my warm yellow, my cool red, my warm red. I'm about to put in my cool blue and my warm blue. And I'm going to just sit here and put these tubes in before I do any more talking. And so that I can speed this up for you guys, because you guys don't want to sit here and watch me just fill these up at a slow pace. Ooh, My primary blue is about almost gone. All right. So let me get these in here and we'll talk some more about pigments and granulation and why I've chosen these colors. Boom. Settle down. I apologize. The guys are out feeding the cows and the dogs can see them riding on the Ranger. They usually love going for the ride to feed. Come on, little. Boone, you got my concentration off. I noticed I just put one in the wrong spot. You're barking, silly. 1, 2, 3, Payne's gray. I apologize for that background noise. I believe that was the cat in the back bedroom knocking over something. Okay, and now I'm just going to take this little straight pen and just smooth these out. Make sure there's no bubbles in them. And wipe the pen on my paper towel here. And stir these out flat. These feel really thick. So that's another reason why I am stirring them up so that they'll mix really nicely with the binder that's in them. In MaimeriBlu, I know that the binder is gum Arabic, and I think it's the same thing on the other brands. So this just makes sure that the boom, settle. This just makes sure that the gum Arabic is mixed in it nicely and that the color will blend out just nice. And it also makes sure that the paint will stick and adhered to the palette. Now I probably could use these little bits that I'm wiping off onto my book over there, but I don't feel like I'm losing that much paint by doing this. So some of these are really, really thick. Filling consistency wise. So the sap green is really thick. Paint everywhere. All right. Except this white. White is really dry on this one, on this Chinese white. So the binder is really, really dried out some. Chinese or zinc white. Titanium white's a little bit creamier and not as dry. Alright, we've just got our 6 primaries and this iridescent blue to stir up. And this one here looks like it's separating a little bit, which is another reason why we need to stir it up. This Pyrrole Red doesn't look like it needs to be stirred up too much. He seems to be doing all right. Okay, we're down to our last couple of colors to stir up and mix, and then we can get to swatching these colors. All right. Okie doke. That's the last of the color for the... Now I can put the lid on my tin of all my paint that I own, both watercolor, acrylic tubes, and wash tubes. And we'll shift this around a little bit. Bring my water jar over here. And bring this color diary down here where I can get to it. And let me show you this up close here so you guys can see what it looks like. It's got all those nice rich colors in it. Now, like I said, I have got a few of the wells open. This well is going to stay open at all times because we've got the excess paint that will run down into that when we need to pour it out. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 more colors that I can put in here. And let's go ahead and swatch these colors so you can... Let me move this out of the way some so you guys can see these colors as I'm dipping into them and as I'm putting them on the palette here on the paper. Now, I've got the names written out on these already. And I'm going to start with my primary yellow. And remember, this has the dark line on it so we can see how opaque or translucent they are compared to what they're labeled. Now, I remember I told you guys that these were all opaque colors. I mean, all, not opaque colors. These were all light fast, good light fast colors, all of them. Primary yellow is a translucent one. It's MaimeriBlu pigment. Our next primary color I decided to go with for my split primary yellow is a Cadmium Yellow Deep. And this one is supposedly opaque. So we'll see how opaque this is. Now, normally when I have colors, I'm using colors, I like to have a yellow ochre. And I do not have a yellow ochre in this set. All right. My next primary in our split primary is, okay, and on our yellows, the primary yellow is our cool yellow. The cadmium yellow is our warm yellow. I've got the cadmium yellow is also a MaimeriBlu color. I've got a primary red magenta that I'm using for my cool red. And it is supposedly a translucent color. For my warm red, I'm using Pyrrole. I'm not quite sure how I'm pronouncing that, if I'm pronouncing that right. Pyrrole Red. And that's a little bit more on an orangey kind of red. It's another translucent color. For my split primary blues, I've got the primary blue Cyan. Ooh, that's a bit thick. Come on, loosen up there. And it's the translucent color, although it's not looking like it with this dark line here. There it comes. I'm starting to see that dark line in there now. Okay. That is a nice blue color. And then for my sixth warm blue, normally folks choose an ultramarine, and I have an ultramarine in my palette, but I decided I wanted my warm blue to be this Berlin blue. And it's just a hair darker than my primary blue Cyan. Now the Berlin blue is a translucent blue. It's a nice dark blue. And I'm hoping that it will produce some lovely greens. All right. So there's my split primary of colors that I've chosen. Now for my other colors around the edge, we've got Winsor & Newton's Naples yellow. And on my paper here, I've got MaimeriBlu listed. So if it's a MaimeriBlu color, it's not got a mark beside it. If it's got an X, it's a Winsor & Newton. If it's a Daniel Smith, it's got a little star to it. So we've got a Naples yellow. Winsor & Newton's Naples yellow is an opaque color. And I decided to get it instead of my usual yellow ochre. My next color is Quinacridone Lake, which is a translucent color. And this one is, I've skipped a color because I was thinking I might want to get an orange. And that's what I have listed here is an orange. But I'm not sure if I will do an orange. But right now I've got a Quinacridone Lake, which is kind of a violet purple. And it's a translucent color. Now, I'm curious to see how different this ultramarine blue is going to be compared to my Berlin blue. And if I should have probably used my ultramarine blue as my split primary blue. Now, ultramarine deep blue is what this one's called by MaimeriBlu. And it is a semi-opaque. I am not quite sure what the difference is between semi-opaque and semi-transparent. I am assuming, since I haven't been able to figure it out yet, that it is just either leans more toward the transparent or the opaque. I'm not sure if they're interchangeable. All right. The next blue I have is this gorgeous blue that I love. This is my favorite color on my palette. Normally green is my favorite color, but lately I have been loving the Cerulean blues. Cerulean blue makes a gorgeous sky for Mississippi in landscape paintings. And the reason why I chose most of these colors, if you notice, most of these colors are really bright and vibrant. I like bright and vibrant. I like doing a lot of landscapes. I like doing a lot of birds that are colorful. And I also enjoy doing some flowers. And that's kind of why I'm thinking I might need an orange, because I don't have an orange. But with my split primary, I should be able to mix an orange. All right, our Cerulean blue is semi-opaque. Our next color is the other Winsor Newton color that I have. I think I just have 2 Winsor and Newton colors. And this is a Cobalt Turquoise. And I got this Cobalt Turquoise mainly to help give me a pre-mixed blue-green for doing seascapes. I love doing seascapes and landscapes. And I can never mix. It's always best to try and mix your colors, but sometimes you just can't get them mixed. And so as me being only painting for about 4 years now, it is hard to mix a cobalt or a green blue for water. My next color is a Daniel Smith color, and I bought it also for, it's a powerful color. I forgot about that. It's a Phthalo turquoise. Our Cobalt Turquoise is semi-opaque. Our Phthalo Turquoise, Daniel Smith says it's transparent. As much as I put on there just a while ago, it was not very transparent. I was a little heavy-handed there. It has completely overtaken my water here. I'm going to have to get some more water, I think. Let me grab my other container here so that I can at least dip in to some clean water here. And I'll put this other part of my jar over here, so I at least have a clean thing to dip into. All right. Our next color is my favorite color to use for skin tones, making skin tones. And it's Daniel Smith's Buff Titanium. I also enjoy using this one for my sand colors for my seascapes. Okay. Getting into another MaimeriBlu color. This is one of my favorite colors. This is also a color that is controversial because it's got copper in it. It's made with copper. Now your cobalts are kind of heavy metalled, toxic colors. Some people don't like to use them. I know the risks, and I try to dispose of my water responsibly. And I definitely don't get rid of my water when I'm out doing plein air. I bring it all home to dispose of it correctly. So, make sure my brush is clean. All right. So this is our green gold. Now I was supposed to put a space between my sap green and my green gold so that I could put either a hooker's green maybe or a cobalt green. I'm thinking I need a darker green. So this space was supposed to be here. And then we've got my sap green. The green gold is a translucent color, as we can see. The sap green is a opaque color. It's another one of my favorite colors. I like using it for grasses and trees. It's one of the best ready-made greens that I like using. Okay, our next color here is burnt sienna, which is my brown neutral color. Now I'm thinking of my next neutral for burnt umber, either buying a burnt umber or I'm leaning toward getting maybe a sepia. So tell me in the comments which one you think I should get, the burnt umber to go along with this burnt sienna, or should I get the sepia? Because that's what the next space is for here. I either need to get a burnt umber or a sepia color. So we've got an orange, a hooker's green or a cobalt green in this space, and then a burnt umber and a sepia. Then I've got 2 extra spaces left. And we go on to the grays. I like having pre-made grays. I don't know why. I like using them for shadow color some. This is MaimeriBlu's Payne's Gray. And it's a nice, really dark, semi-opaque color. The burnt sienna, by the way, is a semi-opaque color. Oh, and I forgot to tell you about my granulating colors that we had. Cobalt turquoise here and buff titanium are both granulated colors. And that. And this is the Payne's Gray with MaimeriBlu's Payne Gray. And I'll lift this up to show you this one. This one is a lot more dark blue gray. And I like to use this Payne's Gray for storm clouds. A lot of yellow out of that. And a lot of yellow all over my hands. All right, this next gray, the Payne's Gray is MaimeriBlu. This next gray is a Daniel Smith color. And this is Jane's Gray. And Jane's Gray is also labeled as Jane Blundell's Gray. And she's a famous artist. who came up with the color of mixing. I believe she mixes up, is it burnt sienna and ultramarine to get the Payne's gray, I think. The Jane's Payne's gray is semi-transparent. And I'll show you these two grays. I'll put this down. I think I'm gonna have to get me another paper towel though to use. Let me grab that real quick before I lift this up so I don't get water all over the book. All right, and you can see the difference in those two grays, why I picked those two grays. Now, there's also a little bitty block here that I've left open. I have heard of a Davies gray, and it's a totally different color than the Payne's gray and the Jane's gray. That I would like to try maybe, or I'm thinking of either getting a black to put there. The next two colors are, apparently I've got too much color in that one. Let me clean this out. Make sure that's clean. I got too much gray in that one. All right, this is the Chinese white, or what they call zinc white. And this is Daniel Smith's Chinese white. And Chinese white or zinc white is usually used for mixing colors with the colors to make pastel colors, because it's semi-transparent. It kind of makes your colors like gouache. But the color that most people use to make highlights and to really make your paint look like gouache is this next white that I've got, which is titanium white. And it is labeled also semi-transparent. Paint all over my board here. All right, so this is the last of the swatching of these colors, because like I said, I've swatched these metallic colors before, and I have those in the book already. But here is my professional set of watercolors that I am going to start using. Up until this point, I have been using mostly student grade watercolors for most of my projects, except for when I've been using these colors for competitions. So this is my new 2024, actually 2025, I'm going to say, professional grade watercolor palette. And again, I'm thinking of putting an orange, a hooker's green, or a cobalt green. Or I may add both of those colors since I've got an extra space. And then a burnt umber or a sepia. And then a Davies gray or a black. So those are the colors I'm thinking about using. If there's a color that you think that, hey, it looks like you're missing a color that would be good for birds or landscapes or florals, feel free to post a comment in the bottom of the description, and I will take suggestions and we'll see what we add to it. I will put links for the Meeden 33 Wells palette in the description. I will also put links to the MaimeriBlu and the Daniel Smith colors in the description below, along with the metallic watercolors. Some of those will be affiliated links, and that just means I will be awarded a small commission at no additional purchase through those links to you. And again, feel free to post a comment or ask me any questions about the paints and the palettes or the brushes. We've got the number 8 Princeton Aqua Elite and the number 12 round Princeton Neptune. I do try to answer each and every question. And there'll also be links to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I also have a 1-year anniversary for YouTube's channel, for the YouTube channel coming up next week. So if there's a special thing that you would like me to do to celebrate the 1-year anniversary coming up on November 14th, I think it is, post that in the comments also. I hope this has been helpful for you to see how I set up my future professional grade watercolor palette, ultimate palette. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Goodbye for now, boardwalkers.